Michael's first sensation was hearing a dull, incessant beeping. His eyelids felt like lead, but he forced them open just a sliver. The room was bright, sterile, and reeked of antiseptic. He tried to move, but his body felt like it was encased in cement. Panic surged through him, but he managed to remain calm, assessing his surroundings. He was in a hospital, that much was clear. Machines surrounded him, some attached to his body with wires and tubes. Michael's mind raced, trying to piece together how he had ended up here. The last thing he remembered was the icy road and the bridge looming ahead as his car skidded uncontrollably. Then, nothing. Voices drifted into his consciousness, sharp and clear against the muffled fog of his thoughts. He recognized one instantly, Olivia, his wife. There was a tone to her voice he hadn't heard before, a blend of impatience and irritation. He cracked his eyes open a fraction more and saw her standing at the foot of his bed, speaking to a man in a white coat. "Dr. Turner, I need to know the truth. Will he ever wake up? And if he does, what kind of life will he have?" "A vegetative state isn't living." Olivia's voice was sweet but had an undercurrent of calculation. Dr. Turner sighed, clearly uncomfortable. "Mrs. Callahan, it's too early to make any definitive prognosis. We need to give it more time." "Time," Olivia scoffed, "is something we don't have in abundance. I need to make plans. You understand, don't you?" Michael's heart pounded painfully in his chest. "Plans? What plans?" He tried to speak, to call out to them, but his vocal cords refused to cooperate. Instead, he focused on their conversation, straining to catch every word. "Of course, I understand," Dr. Turner replied diplomatically. "But right now, your husband needs rest and time to heal. Any major decisions should be postponed until we have a clearer picture of his recovery." Olivia's expression hardened for a moment before she forced a smile. "Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your honesty. I'll be back later." Dr. Turner left, leaving Olivia alone in the room. Michael watched her, his heart aching with confusion and betrayal. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number, her demeanor shifting from concerned wife to something far more sinister. "Yes, it's me," she said, her voice low and urgent. "I just spoke with the doctor. No, he's still out of it. But listen, we need to move forward with the will. I don't care how we do it, just make sure everything is set. I'll manage the gallery once he's gone." Michael's blood ran cold. Olivia was planning his death. The gallery, the place he had built from the ground up, his life's work, she intended to take it all. And the will. He remembered the day she had urged him to update it, convincing him it was just a precaution. He had trusted her implicitly, never doubting her motives. Fury and desperation gave him strength. He willed his body to move, to respond, but he remained a prisoner in his own flesh. He needed a plan, a way to expose Olivia and save his gallery, but for now, all he could do was listen and bide his time. The days blended into each other in the sterile monotony of the ICU. Michael lay motionless, his body an unresponsive prison, but his mind was a cauldron of simmering rage and determination. Olivia visited daily during the official visiting hours, her demeanor impeccably poised, maintaining the facade of the devoted, worried wife. She was fooling everyone but Michael. Determined to uncover the full extent of her betrayal and to protect his beloved gallery, Michael decided to feign unconsciousness. He needed time to gather his strength, enough to move and speak, enough to alert someone to the danger he was in. Each visit from Olivia filled him with renewed resolve. He could sense her impatience, see the flicker of irritation when the doctors reported no change in his condition. Whenever the room was empty, Michael focused on his recovery. He started with small movements, willing his fingers to twitch, his toes to wiggle. The effort was exhausting, but each tiny success bolstered his spirit. Gradually, he began to feel more control over his limbs. He knew he had to be cautious. Any sign of his progress might prompt Olivia to act hastily. One afternoon, after Olivia's routine visit, Michael found himself alone. He took a deep breath and concentrated on his right hand. Slowly, his fingers curled into a fist, then relaxed. Encouraged, he moved on to his left hand, then his feet. Progress was painstakingly slow, but it was progress nonetheless. During these solitary moments, Michael also noticed the dedication of the hospital staff. Nurses and doctors came and went, their care unwavering. One nurse in particular, Erica, stood out. Besides performing her usual tasks with skill and compassion, she often spoke to him in reassuring tones, unaware that he could hear her. "You're doing great, Mr. Callahan," Erica would say softly as she adjusted his fore. "Just hang in there. You'll recover soon, I promise." Her words, though seemingly spoken into the void, became a lifeline for Michael. Each time Erica spoke, it gave him hope and the strength to continue his silent battle. Several more days passed, with Michael making slow but steady progress. He spent countless hours alone, trying to force his vocal cords to produce sound. It was a grueling process, filled with frustration and fleeting moments of triumph. One evening, as the hospital grew quiet, Michael lay still, focusing on his breathing and gathering his strength. He had been practicing for days, and now he felt a small surge of confidence. Summoning every ounce of willpower, he tried to speak. The sound was barely audible, but it was a start. Michael felt a flicker of triumph. He took another deep breath and tried again. "Help," the word came out as a weak, raspy whisper, but it was clearer this time. He repeated it several times, his voice growing a bit stronger with each attempt. That night, when Nurse Erica entered the room to check his vitals, Michael decided to take the risk. As she busied herself with the equipment, he gathered his strength and whispered, "Erica." Erica froze, her eyes widening in shock. "Mr. Callahan? Did you just help me?" Michael managed to say, his voice hoarse but determined. Erica leaned closer, her expression a mixture of surprise and concern. "You're awake. You can speak." Michael nodded slightly, the effort draining him. "Olivia wants me dead." Erica's eyes widened further, and she glanced around to ensure they were alone. "What do you mean?" "Plotting to inherit everything," Michael forced out, each word a struggle. Erica wanted to call the doctor, but the panic in Michael's face made her stop. Understanding dawned on Erica's face, and she nodded quickly. "I believe you. I agreed to keep this quiet for now, but I can't keep this from Dr. Turner for long." Michael nodded slightly, the effort becoming too big. "Only to get stronger." Michael closed his eyes in relief, grateful that someone finally knew the truth. Erica left the room, promising to come back soon and to keep his secret. As Michael lay in the ICU, his mind wandered back to the day of the accident. It had started like any other winter day, cold and crisp, with a light dusting of snow on the ground. Michael had woken early, eager to visit his art gallery and prepare for the upcoming exhibit. The gallery was his pride and joy, a culmination of years of hard work and dedication. After a quick breakfast, Michael dressed warmly and headed out. As he put on his coat, Olivia approached him with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She hugged him tightly, whispering, "Take care today, Michael." The way she said goodbye felt different, but at the time, Michael didn't think much of it. He had attributed her unusual behavior to the stress they had been experiencing lately. The roads were slick with ice, but he drove carefully, mindful of the conditions. His mind buzzed with excitement and plans for the exhibit. He was particularly looking forward to unveiling a new piece by a promising young artist, a piece he was sure would draw significant attention. As he drove, his thoughts drifted back to Olivia. Their relationship had been strained for some time, but he had attributed it to the pressures of running the gallery and their busy schedules. She had seemed supportive, even encouraging him to focus on his work. In hindsight, Michael realized how blind he had been to her true intentions. The accident happened so suddenly that Michael barely had time to react. He was driving across a bridge, the icy wind howling around him, when his car began to skid. He tried to regain control, but the vehicle simply stopped working completely and slid toward the edge of the bridge. Panic surged through him as the car broke through the guardrail and plummeted into the freezing river below. The impact was jarring. Water began to seep into the car almost immediately. Michael struggled to free himself, fumbling with the seatbelt. It took several agonizing seconds, but he managed to unfasten it and push the car door open. As the icy water flooded in, he felt his body succumbing to the cold, his movements growing sluggish. Just when he thought it was over, he felt a strong hand grab him from behind, pulling him to safety. He never saw who it was. The last thing he remembered was the sensation of being dragged through the freezing water, and then everything went black. The next thing he remembered was waking up in the hospital, disoriented and in pain. The gravity of his situation hit him like a tidal wave, and he realized how close he had come to death. Now, as he lay in the ICU, he felt a deep sense of gratitude toward the stranger who had saved his life. As the days passed and he continued to piece together the events leading up to the accident, Michael's suspicions grew. How had his car failed so suddenly? Could it have been sabotage? The way Olivia had said goodbye that morning now seemed laden with foreboding. Her uncharacteristic warmth and the hint of something unsaid gnawed at Michael. Could she have known something was going to happen? Michael's resolve hardened. He needed to regain his strength, not just for himself, but to uncover the truth and protect his gallery. He focused on his recovery, using the memories of that fateful day as fuel to drive him forward. One morning, as Erica adjusted his fore and spoke her usual words of encouragement, Michael managed to ask, "Erica, the person who saved me, who was it?" Erica looked puzzled for a moment, before understanding dawned. "The person who pulled you from the car?" Michael nodded weakly. "Yes. I don't know, since I started caring for you, the only person I met was your wife." Michael nodded weakly. "Find out? I'll try. I can ask at admittance if anyone was with you." "I'll do my best," she promised, her voice steady. "For now, just focus on getting better." Michael closed his eyes, the exhaustion overwhelming him. But inside, he felt a flicker of hope. If he could find out who saved him, he might get the answers he needed. And with Erica's help, he had an ally he could trust. Ethan shivered as he huddled under the bridge, his makeshift shelter barely protecting him from the biting wind. Winter was harsh, and life on the streets was unforgiving. Ethan had fallen on hard times, but he retained a core of decency and kindness that circumstances could never strip away. That fateful morning, as he scavenged for anything that could help him survive the cold, he heard the screeching of tires above. He looked up just in time to see a car break through the guardrail and plummet into the river. The impact was thunderous, sending icy water splashing onto the banks. Ethan's first instinct was to look around, hoping someone else would spring into action. But the bridge above was eerily empty, and no one seemed to be rushing to the scene. Realizing he was the only one who could help, Ethan took a deep breath and plunged into the freezing water, his body protesting against the cold, but his determination unwavering. As he reached the vehicle, he saw that the car door was already open. Michael was inside, struggling weakly, his eyes wide with panic and pain. Ethan grabbed Michael and pulled him out, his muscles straining against the weight and the resistance of the water. He could feel the energy draining from his body, but he pushed on, driven by the need to save this stranger. The current was strong, and every movement felt like an uphill battle. Ethan's breaths came in ragged gasps, his vision narrowing as he fought against the cold and fatigue. He tightened his grip on Michael and swam toward the shore with every ounce of strength he had left. When they finally reached the margin, Ethan saw that cars had started to pull over on the bridge above. Summoning his remaining strength, he called out frantically, waving his arms until someone noticed them. Relief washed over him as he saw people pointing and shouting, signaling for help. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air. Paramedics arrived, taking charge of the situation with practiced efficiency. They loaded Michael onto a stretcher and into the ambulance, administering first aid. One of the paramedics noticed Ethan, who was shivering uncontrollably, and quickly wrapped a blanket around him. "You saved his life," she said, her voice filled with awe. "We need to get you checked out too. You've been in that freezing water." Ethan nodded weakly, too exhausted to protest. They helped him into the ambulance alongside Michael, and he found himself heading to the ER. The warmth of the vehicle and the blanket provided a stark contrast to the icy river, and Ethan began to feel the numbness recede. At the hospital, doctors and nurses swarmed around Michael, working to stabilize him. Ethan was taken to a separate room, where the doctors checked him over, ensuring he hadn't suffered from hypothermia or any other injuries. After confirming that he was in good health, they released him. A social worker approached Ethan as he left the ER, offering him assistance. "There's a shelter nearby where you can get some dry warm clothes, a good meal and rest," she said kindly. Ethan agreed and followed her directions to the shelter. As he sat in the shelter later that evening, Ethan thought about the adventure he had just lived through. He felt a strange mix of pride and humility. He had made a difference, and that knowledge warmed him more than any blanket ever could. He knew he would probably never see the man he saved again, but he hoped fervently that Michael would make a full recovery. Meanwhile, in the ICU, Michael's condition slowly improved. Erica and Dr. Turner began to piece together the details of the rescue. They learned about the anonymous hero who had saved Michael and were determined to find him. Days later, Erica entered Michael's room, her expression thoughtful. "Michael, I spoke to the paramedics. They told me about the man who saved you. He disappeared before they could get his name, but they're calling him a hero." Michael, still weak but recovering, felt a surge of gratitude and curiosity. "Find him, Erica. I need to thank him. I need to know who he is." Erica nodded. "I will. He deserves to know how much he's appreciated." As Michael lay back, he felt a renewed sense of hope. Ethan's bravery and selflessness stood in stark contrast to Olivia's treachery. It was a reminder that there were still good people in the world, and with their help, he would uncover the truth and reclaim his life. While Michael fought for his life in the ICU, Olivia wasted no time seizing control of his beloved art gallery. The gallery, usually a sanctuary of creativity and inspiration, now felt like a battleground to the staff who had long been loyal to Michael. Olivia's sudden, harsh presence was felt immediately. The first to feel Olivia's wrath was Robert, the head curator. He had worked closely with Michael for years, his keen eye for art and meticulous attention to detail helping to elevate the gallery's reputation. Robert had always admired Michael's passion and fairness, but now he found himself at odds with Olivia's aggressive new management style. "Mrs. Callahan, this exhibit needs these specific pieces. They are crucial to the overall theme we've developed," Robert explained calmly, though he could feel his patience wearing thin. Olivia barely glanced up from the papers she was shuffling. "Cut them. We need to reduce costs, and those pieces aren't essential. Find something cheaper." "But the artists we've committed to are expecting." "Do as I say, Robert," Olivia snapped, her eyes cold and unyielding. "Or I'll find someone who will." Robert clenched his fists, frustration boiling under the surface. "Yes, Mrs. Callahan," he muttered, turning away to hide his anger. Sophia, the gallery's cleaner, had also noticed the change. She had always felt respected by Michael, who made a point of acknowledging everyone's contributions, no matter how small. But Olivia barely noticed her, except to bark orders or criticize her work. "Make sure this floor shines." "I don't want to see a single speck of dust when the investors arrive," Olivia demanded, her voice dripping with disdain. Sophia nodded silently, biting back her retorts. She had 4 children to support and couldn't afford to lose her job, even if it meant enduring Olivia's disrespect. The atmosphere in the gallery grew increasingly tense. The once collaborative environment turned toxic as Olivia's draconian measures took hold. Employees whispered among themselves, sharing their discontent and worry. The fear of being fired loomed over them like a dark cloud. One evening, after another grueling day under Olivia's oppressive rule, Robert and Sophia met in the small break room. The tension was palpable, and they spoke in hushed tones. "I can't believe what she's doing to this place," Robert said, rubbing his temples. "Michael would never approve of this." Sophia nodded. "It's like she's trying to erase everything he built." "I just hope Mr. Callahan recovers soon." Robert sighed. "Me too. But until then, we need to hold on and do our best. For Michael." Meanwhile, Olivia continued to tighten her grip on the gallery, unaware that her actions were driving the staff to the brink. She spent hours in Michael's office, rifling through his papers, searching for anything that could give her an edge. One afternoon, as she was rummaging through a drawer, she found a file labeled Will and Testament. Olivia's eyes gleamed with anticipation. She opened it and scanned the contents, her lips curling into a satisfied smile. Everything was falling into place. "Just a little longer, Michael," she murmured to herself. "And everything will be mine." Back at the hospital, Michael's strength was slowly returning. Erica and Dr. Turner kept a close watch on him, ensuring his recovery progressed smoothly. They had managed to keep Olivia in the dark about his improving condition, but they knew it was only a matter of time before she found out. Michael's thoughts often drifted to the gallery. He worried about his staff, about the exhibits he had planned, and about Olivia's ruthless takeover. He knew he had to get back there, not just to reclaim his gallery, but to protect the people who had been loyal to him. One morning, as Erica adjusted his four, Michael managed to ask, "Erica, have you heard anything about the gallery?" Erica hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "It's holding on, I guess," she said carefully. "But I heard Olivia saying on the phone that things have changed a lot with her in charge." Michael's heart sank. He had expected as much, but hearing it confirmed was painful. "I need to get out of here," he said, his voice weak but determined. "You will," Erica assured him. "Just focus on getting better. I'm working on finding the man who saved you, too. He deserves to know what he did for you." Michael nodded, grateful for Erica's support. "Thank you. For everything." Sophia scrubbed the gallery floors with practiced precision, her thoughts miles away. Olivia's oppressive presence had cast a shadow over the once vibrant atmosphere of the gallery. Everyone was on edge, and the sense of community Michael had fostered was crumbling. Sophia missed the days when Michael would stop by to chat, his genuine interest in everyone's well-being a stark contrast to Olivia's cold efficiency. As she worked, Sophia couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was terribly wrong. It wasn't just Olivia's management style, there was something deeper, more sinister at play. Her mind drifted back to the day of Michael's accident. She had sensed something awful was about to happen. At the time, Sophia had dismissed it as her reaction to the snowstorm that was forming, but now she wasn't so sure. Sophia had always been sensitive to the world around her, her intuition often picking up on things others missed. She remembered the first time she had a vision, a premonition of sorts, when she was a child. Her family had been skeptical, but over the years, Sophia had learned to trust her instincts. And now, her instincts were screaming at her that Michael's accident was no accident at all. That evening, after everyone had left and the gallery was quiet, Sophia found herself in the storage room, sorting through supplies. She paused, her hand hovering over a box of cleaning products, as a vivid image flashed through her mind. She saw Michael's car skidding on the icy road, the panic in his eyes, and then she saw Olivia, her expression cold and calculating as she watched him leave that morning. The vision shifted, showing Olivia on the phone, her voice urgent and conspiratorial. Sophia's heart raced as the pieces began to fall into place. She had always sensed something off about Olivia, but this was more than she had ever imagined. Olivia had known about the accident, perhaps even orchestrated it. Sophia knew she had to do something, but she felt powerless. Who would believe her? She was just the cleaner, after all. Determined to act, Sophia decided to visit the hospital the next morning. She needed to see Michael, to check if he was okay. She knew she could not warn him about Olivia, but she had to make sure that he was okay. She arrived early, hoping to catch a moment alone with him before Olivia's visit. To her relief, she found Erica at the nurse's station. "Excuse me, nurse," Sophia said, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm looking for Michael Callahan." "My name is Sophia, from Michael's gallery. I need to see him. It's urgent." Erica looked up, startled by the urgency she saw in the other woman's face. "Sophia, right? Come with me. Michael's condition is stable, but he's still very weak. Keep it brief." Sophia nodded, following Erica to Michael's room. She took a deep breath before stepping inside. Michael lay in bed, looking pale. Her eyes widened and she approached the bed and started saying a prayer. When he heard her voice and recognized her, he ventured to open his eyes, believing he could trust her. "Sophia," he croaked, his voice hoarse. "Mr. Callahan, I'm so glad to see you awake," Sophia began, her eyes wide with surprise and her words tumbling out in a rush. "I need to tell you something. It's about the accident." Michael's gaze sharpened. "What about it?" Sophia glanced at Erica, who nodded encouragingly. "I've had this feeling for a while now, but it wasn't until recently that I started putting the pieces together. Olivia. I think she had something to do with your accident. The way she's been acting since your accident. And I've had visions. They've never been wrong before." Michael's expression hardened. "Visions?" "Yes," Sophia continued, her voice steady despite her fear. "I saw the accident in my mind, and I saw Olivia's reaction. She knew it was going to happen, Michael. She might have even caused it." Michael's jaw clenched, and he looked to Erica, who was listening intently. "What do you think, Erica?" Erica hesitated, then said, "I've had my suspicions too. Olivia has been very eager to take control of everything. And the way she talks about you. It's as if she's already moved on. Michael closed his eyes, processing the information. He had suspected Olivia's involvement, but hearing it from Sophia and Erica made it real. We need proof, he said finally. Something concrete. Sophia nodded. I'll keep my eyes and ears open at the gallery. There has to be something we can use. Be careful, Michael warned. Olivia is dangerous. Sophia squeezed his hand gently. I will. And get well soon, we can't stand Olivia for much longer. They parted with a sad smile. The following days at the hospital were a whirlwind of cautious whispers and furtive glances as Erica and Michael quietly discussed their next steps. The knowledge that Olivia might have orchestrated his accident had galvanized Michael, his resolve hardening with each passing moment. Erica, sensing his determination, became even more vigilant, ensuring that Olivia remained unaware of Michael's growing strength and awareness. One evening, after another grueling session of physical therapy, Michael lay in his bed, exhaustion seeping into his bones. Erica observed him for a brief moment before speaking, her presence a soothing balm to his weary mind. How are you feeling today, Michael? She asked, her voice gentle yet firm. Stronger, he replied, managing a faint smile. Thanks to you. Erica returned his smile, her eyes reflecting her determination. Michael, we need to talk. I need to inform Dr. Turner about your recovery. He needs to know you're getting better. If I keep this from him any longer, I'll be risking my job. Michael took a deep breath, his eyes locking with Erica's. Erica, I understand the risk you're taking, but please, keep this secret a while longer. I've been thinking about a plan. I need your help to evade the hospital without Olivia being notified. Erica's eyes widened in shock. No, Michael. You're still too weak. If you leave now, you could jeopardize your health. And if Olivia finds out, it could be even worse. Michael reached out, his hand trembling slightly as he grasped hers. Erica, I have to do this. Every day I stay here, Olivia gets stronger and closer to taking everything from me. I'm feeling stronger, and I know I can do this. Please, trust me. I need you to help me. Erica hesitated, her professional instincts clashing with her loyalty to Michael. Michael, you're asking me to risk not only my job, but also your life. I can't just let you leave like this. Michael squeezed her hand, his eyes pleading. Erica, you've seen what Olivia is capable of. She's dangerous, and she won't stop until she gets what she wants. If I stay here, she'll find a way to finish what she started. But if I leave, I can gather the proof we need to stop her. Please, help me. Erica looked into Michael's eyes, seeing the determination and desperation there. She knew he was right, staying in the hospital was a risk in itself. She took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. All right, Michael. I'll help you. But we need to be very careful. One mistake, and everything could fall apart. Michael nodded, relief washing over him. Thank you, Erica. We'll be careful. I promise. They spent the next few hours formulating their plan. Erica would arrange for Michael's discharge papers to be processed quietly, ensuring that Olivia wouldn't be notified. She would also gather some supplies and medication to help Michael continue his recovery at a safe location. Are you sure you're up for this? Erica asked, concern etched on her face. Michael nodded. I have to be. We don't have any other choice. The next morning, Erica began implementing their plan. She made discreet calls to arrange for a car to pick Michael up and transport him to a safe house. She also collected the necessary medical supplies and carefully monitored Michael's condition, ensuring he was stable enough for the journey. Finally, the day of the escape arrived. Erica helped Michael into a wheelchair, her hand steady and reassuring. "Remember, take it easy. You're still recovering." "I will," Michael promised, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Erica, for everything." Erica and Michael's plan was set into motion with meticulous care. Michael had steadily regained his strength, and now it was time to act. Erica had arranged for a discreet transport service, ensuring that the hospital staff wouldn't notice Michael's departure. Early one morning, before the hospital buzzed with activity, Erica wheeled Michael out of his room. They navigated the quiet hallways, Erica keeping a close watch for any sign of Olivia or hospital staff who might recognize them. She had carefully timed the escape during a shift change when the hospital would be at its busiest and least attentive. "Remember, stay calm and take it easy. You're still recovering," Erica reminded Michael as they approached the exit. "I will," Michael promised, feeling a surge of determination. "Thank you, Erica, for everything." The transport van waited outside, its driver briefed to avoid attention and take the most discreet route possible. As they reached the van, Erica helped Michael into the back seat, where he could lie down and remain out of sight. "We'll be there soon," Erica assured him. "Stay out of sight until you're inside your house." The van pulled away smoothly, blending into the morning traffic. Michael lay back, closing his eyes and mentally preparing for what lay ahead. Every bump in the road reminded him of his fragile condition, but he knew he had to push through. As they neared Michael's home, Erica turned to him. "Michael, I'll keep in touch. Make sure you follow the recovery plan and be careful. Olivia can't know you're home yet." Michael nodded. "I'll be careful. And thank you again, Erica. I couldn't have done this without you." As the van stopped in front of his house, Michael took a deep breath. He stepped out slowly, leaning on his cane for support. The house looked unchanged, but he knew it harbored secrets. He approached the door with a mix of anxiety and resolve. Using his key, Michael entered, quietly. The familiar scent of his home greeted him, but the sense of peace it once provided was now tainted by Olivia's betrayal. He moved through the hallway cautiously, heading toward the living room. As he rounded the corner, Michael froze. Sitting comfortably in his favorite armchair, wearing Michael's bathrobe, was a man he instantly recognized. It was Victor Carr, a man known for his shady dealings and his history of sabotage. Michael had seen Victor at various social events, and sometimes interacting with Olivia. He had been always lurking in the background, always involved in the latest scandal. The man looked up, startled. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded, his tone hostile, not recognizing Michael. Michael steadied himself, his grip tightening on the cane. "I'm Michael Callahan. And you're in my house." Victor's eyes widened in shock, but he quickly recovered, his expression turning smug. "You're supposed to be in a hospital bed. Guess you weren't as good as dead after all." Michael's heart pounded, but he kept his voice steady. "Where's Olivia?" "She's out," Victor replied casually. "But don't worry, she'll be thrilled to see you're up and about." Michael's jaw clenched. "Get out of my house. Now." Victor stood, his posture aggressive. "Or what? You're going to hobble over here and make me?" Before Michael could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed from the kitchen. Olivia emerged, a dish towel in hand, her eyes widening in shock when she saw Michael. "Michael? What are you doing here?" she stammered, her face a mask of surprise and alarm. Michael stared at her, his emotions a tumultuous mix of betrayal, anger, and sorrow. I could ask you the same thing, Olivia. Olivia's eyes darted between Michael and Victor, her mind racing to grasp the situation. The room was thick with tension, the confrontation hanging in the air like a storm about to break. The silence in the room was palpable, a heavy tension that seemed to suffocate the air. Michael stood firm, his grip on the cane tightening as he faced Olivia and Victor. Olivia's eyes were wide with shock, her face pale, while Victor's expression was a mix of smugness and irritation. Michael, I thought you were still in the hospital, Olivia stammered, her voice trembling slightly. Clearly, Michael replied, his tone icy. And I see you've made yourself comfortable with Victor Carr here. Victor smirked, crossing his arms over his chest. Well, isn't this cozy? The husband returns unexpectedly. How dramatic. Shut up, Victor, Michael snapped, his gaze never leaving Olivia. Olivia, we need to talk. Now. Olivia's eyes darted around the room, as if seeking an escape. She took a step forward, her hands wringing the dish towel nervously. Michael, I can explain. Explain? Michael interrupted, his voice rising. Explain what? That you've been plotting behind my back? That you were planning to take everything from me? Olivia's face contorted with a mix of fear and defiance. It's not what you think. You don't understand. Then make me understand, Michael demanded. How did you get involved with him? He pointed at Victor, who was lounging against the wall, looking amused. Olivia hesitated, her eyes flicking to Victor for a moment before she spoke. Victor, he offered help when things were getting difficult. The gallery was struggling, and I. Stop lying. Michael's voice was harsh, cutting through her excuses. I know you were planning something with him. I overheard you in the hospital. You wanted me gone. Victor straightened up, his smug expression faltering slightly. Careful, Olivia. Your husband seems to know more than you thought. Olivia's face flushed with anger and desperation. Yes, all right. I was desperate, Michael. You were always so consumed with the gallery, with your work. I felt invisible, unimportant. Victor offered a way out, a way to finally be seen. Michael shook his head, his heart aching. So you decided to get rid of me? To take everything I built? How could you? Tears welled in Olivia's eyes, but there was a hardness in her expression. You don't know what it's like, Michael. To be in your shadow, always second to your precious gallery. Michael took a step closer, his voice lowering but losing none of its intensity. And this was your solution? To conspire with this criminal? Victor's eyes narrowed. Watch it, Callahan. You're not exactly in a position to throw accusations around. Michael turned his gaze to Victor, his anger simmering. I know who you are, Victor. I know what you've done. And I will not let you or Olivia destroy everything I've worked for. Victor's smirk returned. Big talk for someone who was supposed to be in a coma. What are you going to do, Michael? You're outnumbered and still weak. Michael's grip tightened on the cane. I'll do whatever it takes to protect my gallery and expose the truth. You don't know who you're dealing with. Olivia stepped between them, her face a mask of determination. Michael, just listen. No, Olivia, Michael cut her off. I'm done listening. It's time for action. I want Victor out of my house. Now. Victor took a threatening step forward, but Olivia held him back. No, Victor. Let's go. Victor looked at Olivia in disbelief. You can't be serious. You're just going to make me leave? Olivia's eyes were filled with a mix of fear and realization. Yes, Victor. It's the best right now. Go. Victor glared at Michael, but reluctantly turned and walked out the door. The tension in the room shifted, but it was far from over. Michael turned to Olivia, his voice cold and unwavering. Now, you. Get out. Olivia's expression softened slightly, and she took a deep breath. Michael, I can see you're very nervous, and that can't be good for your recovery. I'll stay at a hotel for now, for your benefit. But we will talk another day. Michael's heart was still pounding, but he nodded curtly. Fine. You can pretend you are worried about me. As long as it takes you out of my house. Olivia nodded, gathering her things quickly. As she left, she cast one last glance at Michael, her face a mixture of regret and determination. Michael stood alone in the living room, the silence deafening. The confrontation had taken everything out of him, but he knew it was only the beginning. He had a long road ahead, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, determined to reclaim his life and protect his gallery at any cost. With Olivia and Victor out of the house, Michael allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew this was just the beginning. He needed to act quickly to ensure his safety and expose the treachery that had nearly cost him his life. He picked up his phone and called Erica. Erica, it's Michael. They're gone, but I need your help. I have to contact the authorities and make sure Olivia and Victor are brought to justice. Erica's voice was filled with concern. Michael, are you all right? What happened? I'm fine, but I need you to gather the evidence we've discussed. I'll contact the police and meet them at the house. Can you reach out to Sophia and have her meet us as well? Her testimony will be crucial. Of course, Michael. I'll handle it. Stay safe. Michael ended the call and immediately dialed the local police department. He explained his situation briefly, emphasizing the urgency and the danger he was in. The dispatcher assured him that officers would be sent to his house immediately. As he waited, Michael's mind raced. He knew that once the police arrived, he would need to provide them with as much information as possible to ensure a thorough investigation. He began to organize his thoughts, mentally preparing for the conversations ahead. When the police arrived, Michael greeted them at the door. The lead officer, Detective Harper, introduced himself. Mr. Callahan, we understand you have some urgent information regarding a conspiracy against you. Can you explain what's been happening? Michael nodded, leading the detective and his team into the living room. It's a long story, Detective, but I'll start from the beginning. I believe my wife, Olivia, and her lover, Victor Carr, have been plotting to take my life and seize control of my assets. I was in a coma for weeks after a suspicious car accident, and during that time, they've been scheming behind my back. Detective Harper listened intently as Michael recounted the events leading up to the accident, Olivia's suspicious behavior, and the confrontation earlier that day. I also have witnesses who can corroborate my story, Michael added. My nurse, Erica, and one of my employees, Sophia, have both observed Olivia's actions and can provide valuable testimony. As if on cue, Erica and Sophia arrived, accompanied by another officer. Erica stepped forward, her expression determined. Detective Harper, I've been taking care of Mr. Callahan since his accident. I've seen firsthand how Olivia manipulated his recovery and tried to keep him in the dark about her plans. She even tried to hasten his demise by neglecting his care. Sophia nodded, her voice steady. I've been working at the gallery, and I've seen Olivia meeting with Victor Carr. I overheard them discussing their plans to take control of Michael's assets. She's been using the gallery as a front for her schemes. Detective Harper took notes, his expression growing more serious with each piece of information. "This is very concerning, Mr. Callahan. We'll need to investigate further, but based on your testimony and the witnesses' statements, we have enough to bring them in for questioning." The police moved swiftly, issuing warrants for Olivia and Victor's arrest. Within hours, they were located and taken into custody. The investigation uncovered a trove of evidence, phone records, financial transactions, and even documents outlining their plans to take over Michael's assets. The next few days were a whirlwind of police interviews, legal consultations, and media coverage. Michael cooperated fully with the authorities, providing all the information he had and ensuring that Erica and Sophia were also protected. One evening, as Michael sat in his living room, now much quieter without the oppressive presence of Olivia and Victor, his phone rang. It was Detective Harper. "Mr. Callahan, I wanted to update you on the case. We've gathered substantial evidence against Olivia and Victor. They've been charged with conspiracy to commit murder and fraud. It's going to be a long legal process, but I wanted you to know that they're not going anywhere." Michael exhaled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "Thank you, Detective. I appreciate everything you and your team have done. It's our job, Mr. Callahan. We'll keep you updated on the progress. In the meantime, take care of yourself and focus on your recovery." As Michael ended the call, he felt a sense of closure beginning to form. The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned in his favor. With Olivia and Victor facing justice, he could finally start to rebuild his life and his gallery. Erica and Sophia visited him later that evening, their faces reflecting their relief and support. "You did it, Michael," Erica said, smiling. "You stood up to them and made sure they couldn't hurt you anymore." Sophia nodded. "And we're here for you, whatever you need. The gallery, your recovery, everything. We'll make sure you're not alone in this." Michael looked at his friends, gratitude welling up inside him. "Thank you, both of you. I couldn't have done this without you. Now, it's time to focus on the future and make sure nothing like this ever happens again." Together, they toasted to justice and new beginnings, ready to face whatever came next with strength and unity.